All right, so we are looking at a circle graph, and the circle graph is talking about students in an after-school enrichment program, and they're choosing one of 5 subject areas. So we've got these 5 subject areas, and 26% of the people chose art, 14% of the people chose history. We have 21 hundredths choosing English. We have 12 hundredths choosing reading. And then we have a question mark for math, so we're not sure how many chose math. So when we look at this, what percent chose English or reading? So we've got English, and we have reading, and we've got that 21 hundredths chose English. When we change that to a percent, remember that we're just moving the decimal over 2 places to the right. So this would be 21%. And then reading, the same thing. We have to change that to a percent by moving the decimal 2 places to the right. So reading is 12%. And if we want to know how many people chose English or reading, we have to add the English and the reading together. So we are going to do 21 plus the 12% that chose reading. And that's going to give us 33% that chose either English or reading. What percent chose English or history? So we have English is 21% and history is 14%. So I'm going to write it this way, 21 plus 14. And that's going to equal 35% chose one of those. How many times more students chose English than reading? So we've got 12% that chose reading, and we have 21% that chose English. So we need to know 12 times some number, because we want to know how many times more students, and that's going to equal 21. If you'll remember from our equations, remember that we want to know, so 12 times some number equals 21, and we're going to split that. And then to figure out what n is, we have to divide by 12 on both sides of our equation. 12 divided by 12 leaves me with just n, and 21 divided by 12 leaves me with 1 75 hundredths. So if I multiply, when it says how many times more students, 1 75 hundredths times that 12 would give me 21. So that's how many times more students chose English than reading. And then what percent chose math, and write the percent as a decimal. So when you think about a circle graph, you have to know that this circle graph represents 100%. So the entire circle is 100%. So if I know that art is 26, and I know that history is 14%, and I know that English is 21%, and I know that reading is 12%, and I'm trying to figure out that math, I need to take everything that I know, add it together. So I'm going to add the 26, the 14, the 21, and the 12. So I'm going to add all of those things together. So I've got 10, 11, 12, 13, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 73% are included in everything except math. So if we know that the whole circle is 100%, and I need to subtract the 73 that I do know, so 100 minus 73 is going to give me 10 minus 3 is 7, and 9 minus 7 is 2. So 27% chose math. And then it says to write that percent as a decimal. So remember that we dropped that percent sign and we moved the decimal back 2 places to get that 27 hundredths. So this next one's a little tricky, and it says at one school, half of the students live within a mile, 78% live within 2 miles, and 1/10 of the students live between 2 and 3 miles of the school. Make a table to show the percent of students who live each distance from the school. So this is tricky because when you look at this first thing, so it says at one school, half of the students live within a mile. So if we're talking about half, and we have to make a table, and we've got within a mile, and we're talking about 1/2, and some of you might know this already, but half, if we're changing that to a percent, so we want out of 100, 2 times 50 is going to give me that 100, and 1 times 50 is 50 out of 100. And remember that out of 100 is my percent. So we have 50% live within 1 mile. So it gets tricky here because it says 78% of the students live within 2 miles. Well, if I put between 1 and 2 miles, and I've got that 78% live within 2 miles, that includes this 50% that live within 1 mile. So if I'm just looking at between 1 and 2 miles, I have to take that 78% that live within 2 miles, and I have to subtract the 50% that just live within a mile, because they don't live between 1 and 2 miles. They live like from 0 to 1 miles away. So when I subtract that, I'm going to have 28% that are here. And thinking about that, like if I added 78%, I would be over 100. And you can't have over 100% of the kids living somewhere. Between 2 and 3, so it says 0.1 of the students live between 2 and 3 miles. So when I'm changing that 0.1 to a percent, I have to move the decimal 2 places, which means I'm going to have to add that 0, and then I'll have 10%. And then more than 3 miles, they don't give you. So more than 3. So again, all the students would equal 100%. So when I add up all the numbers in this chart, I should have 100% of the kids. So if I add up 50 and 28 and 10%, if I add those up as the ones that I do know, that gives me 88% that live in those three spots. So I take my 100% and I subtract the 88%, and that's going to give me 12% that live more than 3 miles away.